Thou art on.
On. Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dan Brady as the current host of this, the longest running open in the known and perhaps unknown universe. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. Let's have a big hand for Teddy and Fiona. Support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here. Oh, that's different.
Yeah, the mic was unplugged.
All right.
Yes.
Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome here. We respect the mic. That means keeping conversations to a minimum and to a slight whisper, putting phones on mute, vibrate or airline mode, not disturbing the poet while they are speaking, walking in front of them.
However disturbed they may be.
Thank you for adding that. Keeping to the time limit, usually only 5 minutes, but that can change. Please note our streaming link. It's handy in 5 ways.
5.
Why you can view conveniently enough from home. Family or friends can see you live or later on. Want to hear so-and-so's poem again and again and again and again? You can. Do a self-critique, no problemo. And it is a way to put out the word, yours, mine, or ourn. And that brings us to our ongoing theme. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. And the evening's theme is...
The evening's theme is peace. P-A-C-E.
Peace, peace, peace.
So, question. So, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that when somebody's up at the microphone reading a poem, I should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, he said, I said, shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we are pleased to say that our feature is...
Alan Harris is in the house.
Who will give the Queen's Wave tonight's keynote.
He's from Cincinnati.
The keynote is David Erdreich, who is not here quite yet.
And our mini feature,
Mr. Buford Button, who is in the house right over there, getting the King's Wave, or smiling with his eyebrows.
and the last word
Is Sharon Scott King. She will launch and conclude the second half, which now is sparse, but that doesn't matter to me.
And now for our fabulous door prizes.
All right, we have door prizes tonight, people from all over the place. Pocket Poets series, Frontline, selected poems by Jack Hirschman, in case you know him. You may know Jane Austen. This is Emma by Jane Austen.
Jane!
Man and His Symbols.
Is she reading tonight?
No. Negative Blue, selected later poems by Charles Wright. Actually, the name rings a bell now that I'm saying this. In the case you do not know Julia Vinograd, you will be surprised to see Cannibal Casserole. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then Gloria Steinem's Outrageous Acts and Everyday Rebellions. And in case you want a weighty tome, you have the Norton Anthology of English Literature, 5th edition, from whenever that was. And then, of course, is a National Geographic. Hold on just a second. Hold on. National Geographic, The Other Humans, Neanderthals Revealed. Then, of course, there are the 5 other prizes. The mini feature, which we will see with Mr. Bunton. The co-pilot, which I don't have, but Bob said he would be to change his mind. The keynote will deliver the word first. The last word with Sharon is. And then choosing a theme for next week, which can be anything that you name it, we name it, I name it, it's named. And those are the door prizes for the evening. Thank you much for my interruptions.
And if you wish to record someone, ask permission. We will assume you have done so, should any of us notice a recording being made.
Wait a minute, I didn't get that.
All right. So we are now in open mic mode. We do not have anybody in the number 1 spot. The keynote is not here for some reason yet. And for number 2, we have Lord Halsey, but he's busy decomposing.
Did you pass around the sign-up list?
Yes, we did. I thought you signed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We asked.
Okay. We did ask.
You were singing Frank Sinatra, that's probably why.
That was a good, and he had a good rendition.
5, 6, 5, 7.
Just say something.
Can you stand the microphone for a moment?
Huh?
Frame this, please. Thanks.
Are you the same size?
Yeah, what about
Hi,
the
Tommy.
That is, thank you. Tommy, thank you very much.
That's it?
All right, so since we do not have a keynote, and we do not have a number 1, nor a number 2,
Sunday?
we will proceed to slot number 3, and Owen Dunkel will be the first person up on the open mic. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay to be rowdy. We have an intimate group here tonight, so be rowdy. Be loud when it's okay to be loud.
Thank you. First poem would be Night Amore. My love stays silent as the leaves of winter that pull at my heart, laughing in the right places at a comique rollicking. Name juste, moving through leaves, as charming as the clinking, drinking, swinking of our cocktail joust. Fire 1. That round ball of fire, the sun walks by the sky in all its tan Louis XIV splendor. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Higher the wind ran alongside, parallel, keeping up. Began to act in its one-act play. Run along, that man-o'-wisp. Begat that deserted flower. Sand summer's barren heat wilted. Stunned with autumn's slow fire of a deserted tree in November. Yard full of that firm stuff. Stay, autumn wind, stay. Time, guard till spring. Buds burst forth prithee reasons, all love's own. I say, Shanti, Shanti. False soul. About the lonely rain now. See, sink the sundown trawling alive to the slow horn of plenty. Survive quietly the now. We have bliss free as the spirit of the wind. Arrive we may to petty care. Connive gently the mounting of me. Always the squeaking of the mice and leaves skittering down along, leaving no trace of their not-so-nice inquisitive gawkings. Careful song of freedom and trust we sing to ourselves. Bells, bells, loudly ring. Humacy. The year 2005 is almost over. Leaves rain in cold November, snuffling, sneezing around like a frenzied mouse in search of a sunny beach. Down somewhere, I know not where, but somewhere like an old May goal. Caracas, Venezuela. Havana, Cuba. Fidel Castro. Bearded, cigar in mouth, old 50s issue fatigue cap and field jacket, banging his bongos made of coffee cans. Shouting, singing this song his favorite to the snakes and iguanas. Cuba si, Yankee no. Cuba si, Yankee no. Eyes of jade. Fey little flowers pretend to hide, pretend they are full of joy, when their eyes, yes, their eyes of the 10 little men, hold aside their precious stems, pedals Ritz. Ride, little cowboy, ride. Singing men, singing schools, say you are open, ready and full of love. Love, deride, soul sailing his small boat to seasoned witches that are to know their scout jongleur. Float, so song gravity, cloudy sandbar full of wishes and dreams that choke fair Lilliput to pieces. Muses awry, broke. Night of bond. A dead moon floats above the horses of anonymity and dark lilies of gravity. We seek the center of love from its jaunty earth of flowers and incense. More knowledge than we deserve, the way quiet never bothers the stealthy sea.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much.
So let me read the next five. Let me announce the next five readers so they know who they are and in what order. We have Tommy, then Stephanie, then Rob, then Tempest, who is new, Blob, Dewhurst, and Beeps Dan, before Richard Sanderell and Martin Joseph, who precede Alan Harris, the feature of the evening. Will Tommy kindly come forth? Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
I wasn't sure what it would feel like. I had read about it. I knew guys who had done it. Not many, because that year before the Summer of Love, it wasn't popular in our Catholic high school. It happened behind the grocery store owned by a classmate's papa. He invited me over after school one day. We had talked about it a lot, jokingly at first. Then he confessed that he had been doing it for a while. But you're only 16, I said. I'm an early bloomer, he laughed. You ever do it, he asked. Sure, but not as many times as you, I lied. Sal was the class clown, always interrupting Father in physics lab with silly questions. It became a daily routine that we all looked forward to. I was surprised the priest put up with it. He and I were lab partners and bonded over our failure to grasp even the most basic concepts, especially since Father wasn't exactly the best of teachers. Our experiments were all disasters. We even messed up rolling a ball down an incline. I don't know how either of us ever passed that course. As we walked to his house, I wanted to admit to my friend that I was scared to try it. Not because I believed what they said about it, but because I was worried it would change me somehow. I was already questioning everything I had been told, sneaking off to anti-war and civil rights marches. I even read the Communist Manifesto. What Sal suggested, would that actually turn me into a communist? He led me through the alley into the yard behind the small neighborhood grocery store. He motioned for me to sit on an old wooden bench. He looked around for a moment, I guess to make sure no one was watching. Then, reaching into his pocket, he pulled out something that looked like a cigarette, but I knew it wasn't. Where'd you get that? Don't ask. He was right. Better not to know. Like when someone in the neighborhood said they got a good deal on a TV or a stereo because it fell off a truck. He offered it to me. I wasn't sure which end went in my mouth. Fortunately, I got it right. When he lit it, I sucked in hard and choked. He laughed as if he knew it was my first time. It didn't take more than 2 hits to get me really stoned. Everything seemed different all of a sudden, like a curtain was pulled and the man behind it was laughing. Ha ha ha, see? Reality's not what you think it is. Sal was talking, but I was too lost in what I was experiencing to hear anything he said. I did see his mother suddenly open the back door. At first, I thought I was imagining her. "What's that damn smell?" she asked. "Incense," Sal said calmly. "Oh, that hippie shit again." Get inside and help your papa. He needs a break. Okay, Mama. And get rid of that damn hippie shit, will you? Her ignorance was our bliss. Oh. I'll end with this. It's short. People sometimes ask me why I use words like fag and queer to describe myself. When I was a kid, these words were hurled at me like guided missiles, intent on destroying something the other kids were taught to despise and fear. Especially fear, for I could be a reflection of who they were deep down inside, or who they might someday realize they were. The daily barrage of these words cut deeper than I could ever admit, made me feel dirty, creepy, abnormal, alien, not part of the class or neighborhood or even my family. Words I didn't want to admit were mine to claim. The nuns knew. They heard the taunts and chose to remain complicitors in their silence. One nun told Mama at open house that she had to do something about the fact that I was too much like a girl, or I'd grow up to be something she would be ashamed to have given birth to. She never uttered fag or queer, but her words, like those of my classmates, left scars that were only healed after I came out and said aloud and proud, I'm a fag, I'm a queer. For then, they became my words, not theirs. They described someone who was defiant and powerful, not weak and scared. Someone who didn't back down. Someone who could walk down the street holding a man's hand. And when they yelled those words at me, I could snap back, that's Mr. Fag to you. My words disarmed them, made them appear to be the scared little fools they were. Words do have power, but so do we. Power to take the words away from those who use them to make us powerless.
Oh. So our keynote has arrived. He's going to do the keynote now. They'll change the batting order up a little bit. So Stephanie, you're coming up after him. Is that all right? Okay. So make sure, because I didn't have a chance to tell you where I had signed you in, because now you know, and a little bit of a change there. All right. Give him a round of applause. This is David Erdreich, all the way from the far field.
Howdy, folks.
Can you move this like about over to here so I can get the green behind you? Makes it.
My seat was different today. I got successfully hacked. So,
wow.
That was a learning experience.
Is that what the kids are calling it now?
It wasn't kids, but.
Is that what kids are calling it now?
Okay, so this is Idris Shah, Seeker After Truth. I'm going to read 3 short little things out of here. The Road to Khorasan. There was a time in the Middle East when the descendants of the Prophet were hunted down like wild animals, suspected of treason, captured and killed for no other reason than their ancestry. A story is told of a relative of ours during that time who was a Sufi of high repute and a man whose honor was everywhere respected. Unfortunately, of course, he was of such origins as to arouse the hatred and the active opposition of the authorities of the time. He decided that it was not for him to go into hiding, and that it would not be suitable for him to flee as being contrary to the manners of dervishes. So he presented himself to the court of the Caliph. The Caliph was at first surprised at such a meek surrender, but ultimately he issued a death warrant, which he handed to the captain of the guard, saying, "You Sayyids are a funny lot, but if you seek martyrdom, I'm glad to grant it." The Sayyid said, "I have surrendered myself, thus relieving your men of much trouble in searching for me. Will you in exchange allow me to present myself personally to the executioner?" The Caliph sent him off, accompanied by a couple of stalwart guards. The party made its way to the huge open caravanserai, where the public executioner was sitting with his minions around an enormous bonfire. The Sayyid said to the guards, "Now let me approach the executioner myself, for it is not fitting that a man of my rank, who has surrendered himself, should be treated without dignity at such a moment as this." The guards agreed, and waited until they had seen the Syed present himself to the executioner. Then they withdrew. The executioner, recognizing his captive, said, "So, I have a customer tonight. By the order of the Caliph, have I?" The Syed threw his order of execution into the fire without showing it to the other man. Then he shouted, "I have come of my own free will, as you see, unescorted, and I have been to the Caliph, and I have thrown the order into the fire. I may have surrendered, but I refuse to be exiled to Khorasan." "You cannot refuse anything," roared the executioner. "I shall not fail to execute my master's desire." And instead of executing the Syed, he handed him over to the royal stables to be given horses and an escort. By the fastest possible relays of animals and guards, he was conveyed from the land of the Arabs to the furthest borders of Khorasan, modern Afghanistan, where he was abandoned in exile. Men are not rats. There's a quote here from V. Wood from Kincardineshire Courier and Advertiser, reprinted in Punch, London. Oh, I'm sorry, that was an earlier one. Sorry. Men are not rats. When Pavlov showed that dogs could not be conditioned, one retort by the time was, "Men are not dogs." Be that as it may, social and drinking habits among men, in the West at any rate, have been shown in the laboratory to resemble the behavior of rats rather closely. The psychologist Gaylord Ellison, Newsweek, New York, May 8, 1978, page 55, has demonstrated that when rats are offered alcohol, recreation, and food in circumstances similar to those afforded man, they tend to adopt similar forms of behavior. The importance of this study is that it helps to approach the question of whether social and cultural behavior is in fact derived from the animal side of man. Within a few days of being put into their human-type setting, the rats developed patterns which mimic those of Western people. They went to the alcohol dispensers, as do Europeans and Americans, at a pre-meal cocktail hour. Concurrently, again, as with humans in a similar situation, they combined this with social activity. Although the alcoholic drinks, or water, were available to them, they, like their human counterparts, abstained from drinking until it was time to sleep. As with many people of the Western culture, they had an alcoholic drink before retiring. From time to time, people in the societies where alcohol is widely used throw parties, drink a lot, and have hangovers. So with the rats. Occasionally, the bar became a place for a drinking party. All rats joined in for this open house. As with the human beings, after a particularly hectic drinking party, the rats spent some days recovering, not touching alcohol, and imbibing quantities of water. Humans say that they drink alcohol to reduce tension, to be sociable, to do business with their fellow drinkers, to avoid loneliness, and so on. Can it be the same with rats? Hardly. The explanation seems that some social behavior, at least, is rooted in the animal level of behavior. I just got one more paragraph. Science. Question. Are you opposed to scientists? Answer. No. But I am opposed to scientists not being what they think they are. I once went to a lecture concerned with blood transfusions attended by a scientific audience with a Sufi friend. The lecturer spoke disparagingly of the lingering folklore beliefs among ordinary people and how scientists should work against these. My friend requested permission to ask a question. When he was given it, he turned to the audience and asked them, how many knew to which blood group they belong? How many of you know to which blood group do you belong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/4 raised their arms. When asked which of them knew their astrological sun sign, everyone did.
Very right. We'll come back to the open, as is the wont, with the keynote speaker. And now, we're going to bring up Stephanie Manning, a poet of prize note. Give her a round, please. 2 rounds, please. Tap the cup. Oh yeah, you're gonna get yourself.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here.
It is nice to be here. We're glad to hear you.
And I wrote a whole slew of poems, and I just left them in my car back at the Rockford station. And I was going to donate this book, and then on board I was reading it, Dan, and it happened to visit Marcia Campbell. And that wasn't an easy book to get. So this one's called The Joy of Unimportance by Christine Swanberg of Rockford, Illinois. This is the Minotaur series number 70. By the way, Marcia Campbell is up there. One of the people. There she is. Yeah, she was my favorite female poet in San Francisco. Very much do I miss her. Well, anyway, this is called The Joy of Unimportance. Let us praise the joy of unimportance, the gentle sway of leisure like lilacs bending in the May breeze. Let's take a chance. Let the day lie before us on its back, cozy and inviting as a hammock, strung between two big trees with canopies, or a quilted blanket, a picnic, and Bach. Why not? We're a couple of old jalopies in our 6th decade with no need to rush. Like wild geraniums, we unfold in mornings, click ice cubes at evening's hush. Everything's important when you're old. Sun, rain, birds, fern, clogged drain, male, all equal. We no longer have to please all people. And then here's one by Jim Watson Gove of Fort Townsend, Washington, called The Sound of the Sun. See how many people saw the eclipse this morning and the full moon? I saw the full moon. Well, it woke me up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm nearly going to pass out here. Anyway, it's called The Sound of the Sun. Excites us. We wish to touch the moon and eat oblivion. We yearn for the curving line, who French kisses the sun, singing praises to cacophony, who wishes to make love to the summer solstice. Frogs sing while death strives to stop our synaptic responses. Yet images continue to flicker like a runaway movie. Manic horses stream from horizon to horizon, searching frantically for handsome riders. Birds swim under the polar ice caps, dreaming of the touch of the chronic moon, who French kisses the sun, while singing praises to cacophony. It is the moon that searches the world over, looking for the perfect lover.
Oh, Stephanie. Here we go. And a pin there. All right. Thank you so much. Woo! We put you on.
You got me on there?
Yes.
What? I didn't hear.
All right. Rob. Did you put? You got? I
put them both down.
Oh, yeah. Good, great. Rob. Turn around, Wade. I don't know. I guess it's different. But I didn't think you'll get it.
All right. Peace. This first one is called Whose Dream? Whose dream is this? It sure ain't mine. Reality isn't born on some bushel or vine. Every act or deed starts as a thought. It has to be conceived before it can be taught. Every crushed-in brain, somebody's dream. Every self-sliced vein, somebody's dream. Every starving child, somebody's dream. Every innocence defiled, somebody's dream. Every friend betrayed, every reject unlaid, every tortured cry, every single lie, every beheading, every shotgun wedding, every shooting spree, every lawyer fee, every anal rape, every porn snuff tape, every genocide waged, every human caged, every battered wife, every wasted life. What if you'd been there when all these dreams arose? Could you have birthed a better one? A sweeter song to compose? And is it all too late to awaken from this haze? Or are our dreams dying, dwindling like our days?
Thank you.
How much time?
Oh, you got like 4 minutes. The thing went. I set it for the wrong amount of time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And this is called Hobo Song. Being fat is a healthy response. Do you get it? Do you understand? Being a drunk is a healthy response. Do you get it? Don't countermand. Sex addiction is a healthy response. Can you get it? Can your mind expand? Being a hobo is a healthy response. You want the truth? Look on the borderland. Being a sociopath is a sane response. You can get it. Leave your fantasy land. Religion is a healthy response. You don't get it? A holy fool's errand. Crime is a philosophical statement. Try to get it. A political stand. Child abandonment is a rational response. Will you get it? Is your head in the sand? Rape is a healthy response in a world where sexual sanity is banned. Celibacy is a reasoned response, but not fucking is death well planned. Suicide is a healthy response. Do you get it? Must you learn firsthand? Well-adjusted, an unhealthy response as you wander through this human wasteland.
Bring it, Rob. All right. And now we come to a person who brings up one of our famed traditions here. Someone who is new to the scene. We give them, I introduce them, and as they come up here, we give them what I used to call the treatment, or the honoring, loud noise, clapping, animal sounds, hollering, ululations, I love that word, ululations, and various other sound effects which will let them know that they are welcome and we care for them, hope they come back, and we look forward to hearing every word they happen to say. So with that long introduction, Tempest, would you kindly come forward, please? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it!
Thank you for that.
We were holding back because we didn't want to scare you off.
Thank you.
At any time.
This is called To My Community. Are we really woke as much as we all claim to be? Or are we woke to ease our minds, which ain't reality? Of course we signal heavy change. I won't deny that's true. But let me have your ear for now and give you another view. Are you really woke because you post around Twitter, but bop to Chris Brown's music even though we know he hit her? Are you really woke because you were born into the slums, but if you make it out, you forget where you are from? Are you really woke because you claim to love black hair, but only like the softer textures? Is that really fair? Are you really woke because you admire that 4C, but put down girls who have relaxers, wigs, or wear a weave? Are you really woke because you claim to love all people, but if your boy's gay, you will denounce him at the steeple? Are you really woke because you say you know what's right, but ostracize your fellow black simply because they talk white? Are you really woke because you claim to love all colors, but dated darker women? You'd rather find another. Are you really woke because you claim you've got insight? But if I am depressed, you say that mess is for the whites. I bring up all these issues not because I hate my own. I bring up all these issues just because they're never shown. And if we are to grow and prosper, thrive, and shed our past, we need to have these conversations, make sure that they last. Thank you. This is called Dishwashing Conversation with Depression. I had to wash the dishes every day to keep my life from becoming dirty. Every day was quite the battle as bacteria grew relentlessly in the most overlooked places. Between the spikes of a fork, or on the rim of a bowl, or perhaps on the sponge itself. Luckily, I was blessed with a particularly potent soap. You're supposed to use it daily to retain its strongest effects. Sometimes it works better when there's another friend to wash the dishes with you. Use the soap, scrub the plate, rinse, repeat. Clean for another day. No matter how many dishes piled up, I should have been able to handle it. One day, the soap itself became dirty. And how do you wash dishes with dirty soap? I don't remember if I started using it too much or if I just didn't use it enough. I don't remember if I stopped trying or if my dishwashing fund left. I don't remember how I became chained to this routine to keep another one from consuming me. Now, there's more dishes than I can handle, and life is once again too much.
You got a couple of minutes.
Okay, I have like kind of a short one.
Yeah, we got a couple of minutes. Just try it.
Okay.
Go.
This is called painting. I paint the most beautiful pictures when I think of you, or maybe just keep adding to one huge canvas as our lives become more entangled. At first, I didn't want to begin this artistic feat. Painting is a big deal, right? There's contrast, varying colors, textures, and other ideas to consider. But the more I dwell on you and the more I talk to you, I find myself working harder. It's idealistic, a bit fuzzy on the edges, and nothing harshly defined. Warm colors to signal warm emotions. Sometimes it looks like a vast ocean, brimming with foam and full of tiny sea creatures. Other times, it features a sleepy morning sun making its track up snow-peaked mountains. The thing is, you can't see my creation, and even if you somehow did, you wouldn't understand it. And most of all, if I showed it to you, it would cease to exist. It would melt away because these paintings are ones that simply cannot live in reality. In a way, we all have a painting we've been working on our entire lives. It changes when we focus our energies to someone or something else, a new canvas taking its place when the object of our affection can't be adored anymore. However, I'm scared to show you because I fear I'd be unable to put down the brush. So, quietly, I keep painting, waiting for a day in my heart allows me to start anew.
Oh, thank you. And I hope you will come back because that's wonderful. All right. Blob, blue, blah, 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 blah.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know. Bob Dewhurst of the Pennsylvania Dewhursts, related to the octagonal Dewhurst of the long-standing English tradition of Dewhurst that come from the Thames, actually, in the foothills of the Pyrenees.
And no relation to Colleen Dewhurst.
No, absolutely not.
Actually, yeah, but never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for coming. And I'm gonna show a lack of character and split it half time because I was up since 2. But this is another rough sketch from my Ballad of Buddy Nobody. This one's Leave 'em Blithering. Now, back in the day, the best weed hit the streets. It hit the streets because old Dennis Ptolemy always rode the pipeline and was eager to share. He'd ride his bicycle from one friend to the next with his inexhaustible bag of weed. dealing off a bicycle was almost foolproof against the cops. Dennis smoked continuously all day long, seeming perpetually refreshed, enthusiastic, jovial. At each stop, he'd greet his next doper friend and proceed to smoke him under the table. When that one was inebriated beyond sensible communication, he'd snag his bag, and pedal off with a big smile on to the next house. Many a time he left me blithering into the ethers. I admired his generous manner and ever-fresh humor. Whenever I'd get a quantity of weed large enough to erase my gnawing fear of running out, I'd emulate him, visiting all my pot-smoking friends one by one and supplying a free party until the exchanges degenerated into senselessness. But maybe my friend wasn't as hip. I wasn't as hip as my friend was, or I don't know. Maybe my friends weren't as hip as his, or maybe I wasn't as transcendentally shit cool as he was. But so this one old rancher was fixing his fence line as I pedaled up the gravel lane, puffing a cigar. "Got you some of that wacky tobacco, do ya?" he ventured hopefully. We sipped on the cigar, passing it with grand sweeping gestures that trailed braids of smoke dissolving lazily in the summer morning. There really was no conversation to degenerate. I couldn't even leave him blithering. After a few more togs, the old boy slumped against his post hole diggers and sort of phased out. His eyes glazed over, his mouth hung open, gaping, as he marveled at the infinity beyond the horizon. Several dead flies crawled across his teeth before I finally took a hint and wheeled away. Amigo John once turned on an older fellow who'd never gotten high before. This guy was a veteran of the Korean War. He was interested to try weed, so he sat in a small circle as the joints were passed. Suddenly he knocked everyone over with a shockwave, a terrifying scream. His eyes squeezed shut. "Yeah! Yeah! Do it again, you slant-eyed shit!" Apparently the poor dude had triggered a reliving of his experience of being tortured as a captive. Ultimately, we left ourselves blithering. One morning, my roommate, Rhubarb, and I, feeling aimless and distracted, left our shack in the deep redwoods with no real plans, but gravitated to the highway, which led to a ride hitchhiked from a sedan. The ride led us to the Santa Cruz boardwalk. We walked out on the railroad trestle that spanned the San Lorenzo River mouth and began smoking fat, hand-rolled joints. Everyone who walked by or rode by on a bicycle, we flagged them down and got them as high as they wanted to. A small crowd had gathered, laughing and marveling with disbelieving faces that we were smoking everyone out in a public place. The audacity! Clouds of smoke were flying in spirals down the river. We began to wonder when the authorities would appear. Finally, Rhubarb and I looked hysterically at each other and concurred. It really was time to disband. We figured it's best to exit down a steep dirt bank to the river, then wander nonchalantly down the banks, and eventually exit, whistling innocently along the highway. As we descended, the bank angled off more sharply. We began to slip in the mud, which brought on helpless waves of high-pitched marijuana giggling. Of course, this made things worse, and finally we were laughing uncontrollably, grasping at shrubs on the hillside as we slid further down and ultimately oozed into the frothing brown water, swept inexorably out to sea.
Well, thank you. Tom Dewhurst, ladies and gentlemen.
Dan. Yeah, Beeps. Beeps. Is that you?
This to me.
Dan Beeps.
Dan Beeps.
Dan Beeps.
I have many.
I have many names, which shall remain nameless.
Put my glasses on. Otherwise, I'd be blithering.
I'll begin with something short and seemingly sweet, called time. Time comes and goes, almost unnoticed, unremarkable, except for the changes we seem to think come and go with it. What a strange concept, which is to say untrue, so much so that we'd have to invent the concurrence for our own sakes, not to mention those of others. Magicians use this feat all the time. And we, the duped, ever and always find no end of fascination with what they have us see. Truth be damned. A or B?
B.
Thank you so much. When dreams go, where do they go? After falling into something you might call time. So that much later, when that worthy comes a-calling, as he always does, no matter his appearance or how you elect to take it, leave it, whatever, yet he will sit you down comfortably, mine, and begin a recounting of those once-upon dreams you had, when fantastic creatures had crazy places to go and wondrous things to do, as a teen dismissing the dusty passages of so-called wisdom, pondering the nature of the universe, and visualizing a remake of the world in happiness. And then all those shape-shifting dreams, the top-secret make-a-wish list, the desire to become a somebody, a contender. By the time you are all grown up and so certain you'd never suffer from the illusions of temporality or get caught up in the flow that ever goes on and on and on until, well, there comes that point when, as I said, time comes a-calling. And then, sitting there with time during that very long-seeming moment, those misty hopes of sailing the Atlantic, visiting other worlds, finding a cure for this, an invention for that, finding the answers to life's persistent questions, are as real as the joyful lift such considerations still give your soul as the song in your heart is. Yes, when time comes, it's for letting go, moving on, although both of you just sit there and time drums his fingers as you both take it all in. You'll never glimpse Xanadu, dance a jig on ancestral flagstones, stand atop that peak you saw on your way to school every day, travel the October country, walk Grover's Corner, Flanders Fields, or fly over the white cliffs of Dover, stroll the marketplace of old Algiers, see the pyramids along the Nile, or get what Murray and 1,000 clowns insisted upon. So there you are, sitting with time, feeling just as you did all that way back when, as your dreams come and go lightly, passing by as bubbles which pop, becoming less than a breath of mist that vanishes. As time takes you for a ride, as they used to say, at some point you mutely come to the conclusion that this tete-a-tete has nothing to do with regret. Nothing to do with anything like that at all. In fact, it's just a show for a very exclusive audience of one. And then time nods exactly as you do. Regret has nothing on this sort of loss. As you look up, one last bubble approaches, wobbling. You are uncertain it will make it. Oh, how you wish it was a book you could reread at your leisure, but it isn't. And it wasn't made for that. Certainly. No. Not made for that at all. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Who's next?
Richard Sanderell.
Mr. Sanderell and his device, and then we got Martin Joseph before our feature, Alan Haas. He's in the house. Oh, here he comes. Chug-a-lucky along. Chug-a-lug. Wants to make me holler, hi-ho. Bind your tummy, don't you know? No one knows that song?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Time to pop the corn.
Richard, quick question. How tall are you?
5'9".
He's doing that so he can set up the mic and the camera. That's all right. What you should have waved your hand so I could have called on you. So you know. It's all right. I don't mean that, actually. I'm interrupting him as best I can because he's getting ready, so I can blather like this and he won't collar
I'm
it.
ready anytime.
Huh?
Give me a couple extra minutes.
I put you on the list.
Turn to tell me, don't you know? Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug.
Well, give it up for this. Give it up for this. All right.
On a field trip to the farm where me and this other fool. I'm covered up, moonshine still. So we thought we might drink our fill. First time for everything. My ears still ring. Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Okay, thank you.
You know, and
You just have to forgive him. He's on drugs.
Blood pressure. Oh yeah, buffalo herd. You can't roller skate in the buffalo herd, but you can be happy if you and mine too. Richard Sanders, give him a round of applause.
All right, how much do you really care? USA prides itself on how compassionate it is, seemingly sending aid here and there, helping. It depends this type of help. One needs to look within USA's borders to see what compassion is. Go to most reses and you will find that those those nations within USA, to say impoverished, an insult. Finding words beyond our language to describe our indifference, you'll find language of neglect. To find words to move will take the biggest and largest of earth movers, disruptors of structures, tongues. Live in structures that have cardboard windows and holes where it goes down to 40 below zero. Air comes in on elders, parents, or singles with children. Can you imagine this, you pampered Oosans? Can you truly imagine that you only have your clothes and blankets to keep warm, maybe a heater or a stove to keep warm, competing with the invading air? Best to hope for FEMA trailers, those toxic death traps disguised as homes. Remember Katrina or not? That's right, some of you just went shopping. Good times are your memories, while the reses freeze and the city and hearts are drowned. Yes, USA, you've shown the world how much you really care. Feel like weeping, creeping, sweeping. In USA, we really don't like each other. Even poets slam each other. Right on, slam on. Peace, peace, peace when there is disorder. Mother sends flora, fauna away to different spaces, places. Only traces where they once grace us no more. Forever to the core, life will continue its chore. While we whore, others restore. Others never had to. Feel like weeping, creeping, sweeping. In USA, then someone comes, recognizes, gifts me, needed for lift, escaping, weeping, creeping, sweeping. Feel like, give me a feather, and I will cursive write for you. Dedicated to Clyde always. And how much
Who was
time
last week's theme, by the way?
Yeah, how'd it go?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
How much time do I have?
You're at 3.
Well, I'm going to try to get this one in. It's John Trudell.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I'm sorry. Where did I put it? I mean, I'd read it.
It's on your computer.
I know, right here it is.
There you go. See?
I'm going to get you. Get you. I don't know how many people remember John Trudell.
Yes.
I want to read this once a year at least. John Trudell of truth etched deeply in intelligence. There is a man, killer of lies, great pretender of the truth. This is not said lightly. He's a man who gets down to the root that grows trees that spread across the hoop. Empire has no place to hide in his words. That's what makes him so dangerous. There is a man of love, compassion for the human spirit. Being Santi and his mother from Mexico, does not break the bond he has for his people or for the rest of humanity. It is the diseased of humanity that breaks that bond, that circle, that hoop, that succumbs to the lie that when broken makes us sick. The great lie that the Usan Empire and all its ilk spread. Democracy is the lie they tell themselves that then regurgitates it back to the world. There is a man who is a wolf with all of his qualities, as a trickster investigator who says, sometimes you have to let the angel of sin in, and warns us that it's Cupid that's armed. There is a man who says, see the woman, she survives all that man has done. He did not forget, Crazy Horse, the words, one earth, one mother, one does not sell the earth that the people walk upon. There is a man of intelligence, heart, soul, an eloquent man who through all his triumphs, tragedies, still keeps his humanity, never forgets, will never get over certain things, because some things are just too big to ever forget or get over. There is a man who is our father, uncle, brother, cousin, someone who should always befriend when needed. It is John Trudell, not a god, but a truth teller, prophet, the prophet's philosopher, friend to humanity.
We can stand around.
Martin, you're up.
Martin Joseph is in the house. Martin Joseph, kindly come forward. Smoke a bit, you got him. No, wait, one thing. And then I will introduce our feature of the evening in a way that will embarrass us both.
Good evening, Sacred Grounds.
Good evening.
When I did my feature here on November 22nd, I dedicated it to Alan Acacia, my friend of 53 years who had just been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And so all the poems were either about him or his poems or ones that he had asked for. He passed away on Christmas night, and so there's going to be a gathering of people, his siblings, his neighbors, his neighborhood association, old friends, and probably a number of ex-lovers. And I'm still trying to figure out what to say there about a guy that I've known for 53 years and since high school. Because when you bring that many people together, you wind up with a little slice of time. And it occurred to me that I know from me and I know from him that there's way too many aspects to a person to actually be able to memorialize it or remember it in any kind of depth in a gathering that includes so many and disparate elements. So primarily I just want to listen. Tonight I want to read a poem by somebody else, a fellow named John Godfrey Sachs, who himself wrote this poem based upon an old story that was old even in the 1st century BC when it was first written down. And it's called 6 Blind Men and the Elephant.
Wow.
And in his poem, he's really talking about religion, but in the context that I will probably be bringing it to this gathering, we're talking about some parts of a person. It was 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, and each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant, and happening to fall against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl, "God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall." The second, feeling of the tusk, cried, "Ho! What have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp. To me, 'tis mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear."
The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a snake." The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. "What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain," quoth he. "'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree." The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, "E the blindest man can tell what this resembles most. Deny that fact who can. This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan." The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grope than, seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a rope." And so these men of Indostan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right and all were in the wrong. So oft in theological wars the disputants, I ween, tread in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about the elephant not one of them has seen.
Martin, go, look.